back with another episode of the Behind the Blind podcast from Heartland Waterfowl, brought to you by Tetra Hearing. Find them online, tetrahearing.com. A lot of really cool new products coming out in 2024. If you haven't seen it already, go check it out, tetrahearing.com. What an interesting day we had today, or a morning hunt. Maybe not killed as many as we would have liked, but some really cool things happened this morning.
Yeah, absolutely they did.
Yeah. What do you
think? I guess I'm the one that has to answer that.
Sometimes when you're hosting a high-profile show like I am very accustomed to doing, you don't have to ask direct questions. You just put a little teaser out there, and your co-host just kind of pick up where you left off.
Well, why don't we just play a little game?
Okay.
What was the first thing that you found interesting from today's hunt?
First thing that I found interesting is that you shot 2 birds with 1 shot to start the morning.
I did.
That was a heck
The
of a way to start.
Good start.
Yeah, Alex and I didn't even shoot. Bird comes in. 2 birds come. Was it 3 birds? Maybe came in.
Yeah.
Bam. 2 birds fall. And I think we were both in awe that we just didn't.
Yeah, I kind of just watched.
Whoa, that just happened.
Did I even call the shot, or did I just shoot?
I think you did.
You were kind of complaining a little bit there for me jumping the gun a few times.
Well, you did that
morning.
towards the end, and Alex would attest to that.
It's true. It's the Nate Meyer special.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So the scout last night was, I'm trying to think how the scout went last night. There was a lot of birds that moved in. There was a lot of birds that migrated in yesterday during the day and then last night. And there was a feed that was real close to a body of water of where they were roosting. The east wind was not perfect for this particular field, and because they were new birds, they were hopping around. They weren't really consistently feeding in one particular field, so I wasn't overly optimistic. I thought there was an opportunity there. If we could get in there quietly and not shine the LEDs bright like we typically do, I felt like we could pick a few off. So that's what we did. We found a good spot. We got a good hide put together. And because of the wind blowing so hard, we couldn't hear the geese on the water this morning, which actually had us worried. Like, are they even here? Did they migrate out? Lo and behold, once the sun came up, we were able to glass over there and see that they were still there. And then the first thing they did when they flew was nearly all of them short-stopped us.
Yeah, they literally all jumped off the water at one time, and they went into a canola field.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was. I think part of them were in the canola, but that I was looking at that earlier. The neighbors to the north actually has a thin strip of wheat there too, and that right there where they're and I was telling you this earlier, where they were feeding part of the night last night was right there on the property line, as if where they were bringing in the trucks, the combines, and probably some residual grain got left on the ground. And so there was a reason why they wanted to go there, for sure. But as the morning went on, a few would trickle over and bounce from one feed over to where we were set up. But the interesting part, and what probably was the highlight, aside from Logan's 2 birds with 1 shot, was the migrators we broke down with about 20 dozen decoys.
Yeah. We only threw 20 dozen, which it's always funny because everybody knows, like, you set decoys in the dark and you look at it, you're like, oh man, we look pretty big. They're spaced out pretty well.
And we didn't have as many lights open on the field, so we couldn't see as well.
I mean, obviously knowing you know that you only threw half the decoys we brought or so, because the other half are still in the trailer. But once the sun came up and the trucks are out of the field, you're like, God, it just looks so small. But especially this time of year, you're not trying to run a migrator spread or pull them. You are hunting where they're feeding or where you're in between a few feeds. So it's not like you need to make an unreal presence with 60, 70 dozen if you have a good-looking spread, a realistic spread, and like we talked about on the first podcast, most importantly, a really good hide, you're going to be just fine. And that was the thing, was the sun, it was intermittently sunny this morning for like an hour, and every time that sun would pop, all of a sudden you would look up, and here they come, and we would suck them straight down. There's literally a feed of, I don't know, 20,000 or so,
more than that.
You know, with, you know, 1,000, 2,000, you know, a quarter mile away or so. And they want to come down to us. And, you know, there's a couple of those groups we shot, I don't know, 5 or 6, 8 out of.
Yep.
And it was awesome. And a couple of them got close, and it was like, oh, we need one more pass, one more. And then they would go, oh, shoot, there's where we want to go, and peel off. But, man, just watching those birds break down in the sun and come into what is for snow geese, a relatively small spread was super cool.
Yeah, I mean, and we probably missed out on 3 or 4 of the migrator groups that kind of just they got to about 40, like you said, one more
it's
pass.
like,
Like,
one more,
should you
they'll
take
do
it? Should you not? One more, they'll do it, and then they just kind of moseyed off. And
If we would have had the mentality this morning that we had yesterday, it would have been a different story. We got a little greedy.
yeah, but some of the we did, but it was because of the wind, right? And they're obviously they already came a mile down. You know, it's like, why wouldn't they come the rest of the way?
Right.
You know,
no doubt. But I think with those clouds,
we had success with other groups coming all the way down, but for whatever reason, you know,
you're right. There was that one group that really. The other thing that was, and not that this is a revelation or anything, but you know, you were working the e-collar too, to those, and the minute you hit the volume, turned the volume up on the e-collar, whoosh, they flipped.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, it was instantaneously. Yeah. There's no way that was coincidental.
No.
And so you continue to do that with those migrators, and more times than not, it worked. And then as they got a little bit closer, you'd back off on the volume a little bit. So yeah, it was a super, super cool morning. Any other takeaways from this morning?
I like it when Ross geese show up.
Oh my gosh,
man!
If they could just all be Ross geese, I would love snow geese hunting so much more.
They just come in with reckless abandon.
Those are the limit savers.
Yeah, it's awesome. So we shot quite a few Ross geese today. But I mean, all in all, it was a fun hunt. You know, we had a pretty decent wind, and we were able to. Luckily, the rain held off this morning, and it's not raining yet, but it should be here in the next hour or so. But we were able to drive right into the field, had an easy hide, could still hunt from the A-frames. Like, you can't really ask for too much more. Obviously, would you like to shoot 60 or 80 or 100 birds? Yeah, of course. But, man, for shooting 36 and breaking down those migrators and stuff, like, that's an awesome morning.
Yeah.
That was the other thing I was going to say, that because I hadn't mentioned until you just said it, that we shot 36 this morning. It seemed like less than that.
Yeah, way less.
And I don't know why.
It shouldn't have, you know.
Yeah.
Honestly, it should have probably been.
It was weird when they
had.
Yeah.
When we were talking about it, you know, as we were getting ready to tear down everything, I think it was Dakota that was asking, "Oh, what's your guess?" Because that was kind of a fun game that we started yesterday. And my guess was 23. I wasn't even close.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was great. You know, obviously we'd like to shoot more. I mean, for a 3-man limit, it's 60 up here in Canada. It's 20 per person. But you don't balk at that. I mean, 36. That was a great day. And there's some people that would kill to have a hunt like that.
Yeah, man, I had a hell of a time today. I had a great time.
Not to like find a reason to complain, but I do think we always complain about wind. Then we got the wind, and then they came in the clouds, and with the clouds comes the filter light. And I think it's easier for the birds to see and pick out things that they'll or maybe look a little suspect.
There's always something.
The sun, the sun changes everything. It's
when we
night
had
and day
sun,
difference
though,
of how the birds decoy when there was sun versus clouds or filtered light.
But with a strong east wind and the sun coming up in the east and them coming in that is perfect.
Yeah, for sure.
To have that. Anyway, so when the sun was out, it was awesome. When the sun went away, it was a little bit more difficult.
Well, you're not going to see the sun for another 36 hours.
Well, we should talk about that. So what can we expect as we get into this? You know, I think we talked about it in the podcast yesterday, and you just alluded to it, that we were expecting there to be rain by 9 o'clock this morning. That got pushed back to about 3 o'clock, and that's going to pretty much carry on then till 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, right?
I think the good news of it is it's not supposed to be like a heavy rain, or we're going to get 2 inches of rain. I think it said steady light rain, so maybe a quarter inch.
Yeah, it said maybe.
So it's not going to be like a downpour. Like it's going to make things wet, and that will kind of change a few things, but it shouldn't be like a catastrophic, just horrendous storm.
No.
And we have crazy northeast wind tomorrow. I think in the morning it says
should blow even
it
harder.
shows 20, and then by 10 a.m. it's blowing 25, 30 miles an hour. Yeah. So yeah, I mean it'll be interesting to go out and scout this evening while it's raining or drizzling and stuff, because they'll obviously be sitting in the field, and hopefully give us a good idea of what they're going to want to do tomorrow in the rain as well.
The good news about today's hunt is, I mean, there was just flock after flock after flock after flock of migrators that were moving in, so it just kept building that flock. We didn't booger them up too bad. Because they all went in a different direction to feed, and it was just those small little groups that were bouncing and trickling out of there. So there is an opportunity that we might, if we can get, because where they were actually feeding and where we want to be is owned by a different property owner. So we have to get permission on that. But our hope is that we can go back to that location tomorrow.
Yeah.
That being said, are you guys going to change? I mean, that's kind of the direction that I've been out scouting since we've been here. You guys have been everywhere else, literally and figuratively.
Yes. It
What's
feels
your
like
guys-
we've been everywhere within 100 square mile radius.
Seriously, no, it's unreal. I mean, I think you even said that in the 2 times that we hunted that area, that was more geese than you said driving everywhere.
Yeah, they're scattered everywhere else, which is good. You know, obviously you can keep your tab on that, and then I can just keep scouring different areas and
Is that what
trying
you're
to.
going to do? You're not going to change up your strategy at all?
Yeah,
I think we might try one place new to start with.
I might
and then
go-
loop back to the familiar turf.
I might go back to that area that we hunted the pilot episode 10
Oh.
10 years ago.
That would
ish.
be a cool revisit if you could find that.
I just want to
particular
go
spot.
that vicinity.
Okay, yeah. No, I'm just
Uh,
saying though that would be cool. If we
So I
could.
might venture down there and see what's
Okay.
going on, see if we can find a diamond in the rough or something, maybe for Wednesday.
All right, fantastic. So the goal then is to hunt tomorrow, and then say my days are all mixed up. Today's Monday, right? So to
Yeah.
hunt tomorrow, then Wednesday. So there's going to be a couple more episodes, or at least one more podcast episode, right? One more podcast.
Tomorrow
So
will be the last one.
Which, that being said, tomorrow on this podcast, we're going to announce the winner of the giveaway from Blue Otter Polarized. You should check them out online at blueotterpolarized.com. And even if you don't win, I've failed to mention this, and every time I mention it and I don't say it, I just kick myself. If you try to win and you don't, you should still get sunglasses at discount by using promo code HW10. These sunglasses are unbelievable. All the cool country singers are wearing them, like Hardy and Riley Green and Luke Combs and
Alex
Cody
Diecedue.
Johnson. Who?
Alex Diecedue.
Alex Diecedue. Yeah, all of us are wearing them. We talked about it in the last couple pods. They have Zeiss lenses. That's really great glass. And they got some really cool swag. And so you could win a new pair of sunglasses from Blue Otter Polarized along with some Blue Otter Polarized swag. We will draw a winner at random at the end of this podcast tomorrow. But in order for you to win, you have to make sure that you are following, you're subscribed to the Heartland Waterfowl YouTube channel, like all of the content that we release, whether it's the podcast or it's the actual hunt videos, and then make sure you comment. We would love to hear from you. And if there's something that you would like us to talk about on the next podcast, put that in the comments as well. So I guess that kind of wraps it up as far as our third morning hunt here in Saskatchewan. Back at it tomorrow. Hopefully we have a good scout, which appears to be in the rain, and we can keep this train moving forward in the right direction. So for Alex Diecedue and Logan Burditt, thank you to Tetra Hearing. Check them out online, tetrahearing.com. Title sponsor of the Behind the Blind podcast. I'm Ronnie Phillips. We'll catch you tomorrow.
Train